And how do you convince enough Canadians, enough Albertans to realize that there's a price to be paid? Nothing is free. And either you have the control to make your own decisions, or you give that control to the government, which they're happy to take it. Again, one of the things you quoted in your book was the fact that emergency powers, once government grabs onto something, very rarely does it ever give it back. So, what are some things that we can do to protect ourselves, to bring awareness to Canadians that there is a price to be paid? Like you just said, they do this under the rhetoric of really nice words and public safety. We have to protect you.
Yeah. Well, law flows from politics. Politics is comes from culture. Culture comes from education. And so, really, the problems we are seeing today in Canada with, for example, the human rights violations and the trampling of our constitutional freedoms for years on end by lockdowns and vaccine passports. We've got this woke racist ideology that wants everybody to fixate on their skin color, gender, sexual proclivities, etc. So to create sort of a permanent state of war in society between oppressors and oppressed, you've got that ideology, and the fundamentally it's our rights and freedoms really depend on a culture of in which people believe strongly that government should be our servant, not our master. That government needs to perform some important functions like upholding the rule of law and providing an independent and impartial court system, and that government really needs to respect the dignity of every person and respect our fundamental freedoms of conscience, religion, expression, association, peaceful assembly, travel, mobility, bodily autonomy. So in a nutshell, we need that culture of freedom to exist, and it has been gradually eroding the last, say, 50 years through the education system at all levels, elementary, high school, university. So we have to revitalize the culture and create a culture of freedom, and that is a far better guarantor of our rights and freedoms than any constitutional document that you could possibly write or invent or create.
Now, do you think that's possible? Because I want you brought up a really good point here, impartiality. And you brought up our judicial system. And our judicial system, in my opinion, should be colorblind, right? It should be bias blind. There should be no preferential treatment for one group over another. One rule of law applies to everybody equally. Right. And we did not. And COVID, I think, was just the perfect example of how corrupted and you saw this again in Nazi Germany as well, where judges started going along with the ideology and with the political perspective rather than uphold the law. And so these violations for COVID were not accidental. And then you pointed this out in your book. And then you had judges and politicians. You pointed this out as well. And I wasn't aware of this, but they met weekly in secret. Like, that is not impartiality. That's full on conspiracy right there. So with all of that in mind, how